Barak the Yahweh, Barak the Yahushai, Barak the Yahweh, Barak the Yahushai, Barak the Yahweh, Barak the Yahushai, Kol Loyim La, Adonai Yahweh, Ba'Shem, Shamalak, Yahushai, Ba'Shem, Kakadash, double honors to the apostles and elders, great millstone, peace, citation, hopeful elect. And the title of this video is going to be, There is no enchantment against the elect. I just wanted to title the video that way because I'm going to pretty much explain the scripture first, and then I'll explain why I titled it the way I did. So, in the book of Numbers, chapter 23, verse 23, it says, Surely there is no enchantment against Jacob, neither is there any divination against Israel. According to this time, it shall be said of Jacob and of Israel, what hath God wrought? Exactly. And, who represents Jacob right now in this time is pretty much, the elect, like the 1/3, and then the 144,000. They represent the Most High's chosen group within the chosen people, so they really represent, the house of Israel. And there's a scripture that says the Israel of Yahweh, and that represents the elect. Because a lot of Jakes, like, they don't really represent, obviously, the chosen group, and that's the 2/3. They don't represent the chosen group. And that's the reason why the Most High is going to have to destroy them, because they're wicked, I mean, the 2/3, don't get me wrong, they're considered as Jacob, but they're not the righteous ones. In the kingdom, they'll be righteous, but, they're not really righteous at the moment. And the majority of our people are considered to be, wicked, which is like 66.6%. That's the 2/3. And according to the prophecy of Zechariah chapter 13, verse 8, they're going to have to be destroyed, the 2/3, and the 1/3 will be saved, and, as it says in verse 9. I just want to go into the word enchantment. So as you go into the etymology of enchantment, it says the act of magic or witchcraft, use of magic power, from Old French, enchantment, which is a magical spell. So pretty much that word is obviously ties up with sorcery, and that's something that Esau uses with his media. He got his mass media influences, which is his mainstream media. Then you got the Hollywood films on the other hand, and then you got social media, having these stupid ass people to follow after these dumbass challenges, and using all these dumbass you got these social media influencers, the ones that are like famous public figures on social media, even celebrities that doing these dumbass trends, that doing these stupid ass challenges to pretty much get people distracted from the prophecies. So, but it's all just to keep people pretty much away from the truth, and like I said, when it's coming to the elect, representing the 1/3, some may be a little bit distracted or whatever to a certain, but the Most High is pretty much awakening them little by little, and like I said, every Jake is different coming into the truth. So the Most High may have to, really put some Jakes in some critical condition for them to accept it, which is still way more merciful than them being destroyed in that thermonuclear fire, you know what I mean? So there may be some Jakes that come into this thing that might have to get jacked up a little to come into this thing. The Most High gonna have to like correct them in a certain type of way, Then ultimately, the ultimate enchantment that Esau really wants Jake to, take part of is them getting that, that MOB, they're getting chipped. And once they pretty much get chipped, they've pretty much fell into the trap. And the Most High is already paving the story to the way where the 1/3 is not going to take that chip. They're not going to get it. And because they're not going to pretty much fall into Esau's traps like how the 2/3 are, because the stories, everything is about the elect, and the Most High is going to have it to where the 1/3 is pretty much going to be, delivered from, their troubles in a certain time that the Most High set it up. But the 2/3, they're just going to be left to be destroyed completely. And this is Galatians chapter 6, verse 16. It says, "And as many as walk according to this rule, peace be on them and mercy, and upon the Israel of Yahweh." So you see that right there? Like, the Most High is mostly going to have that his mercy drawn towards the 1/3 of his people, because he's, already paved the story to the where he's going to pretty much save the 1/3, because the 1/3 really represents, if anything, especially the 144,000, like we really represent the house of Israel, and Lord willing, if I'm part of that number, just because you teach the truth right now don't really mean anything. And most likely take away his spirit from certain people, which is a scary thing. Like that's for another lesson, that topic. But for the most part, when you try to practice the Lord's laws and commandments and you teach this truth in the flesh, you really do represent, his people in the his favorite group, and that's if you endure to the end with this understanding. Because a lot of people, they may come into this thing and they can't finish, because they weren't ultimately chosen. So, and you also got to understand, like, when the scripture was saying that there's no enchantment against Jacob, there's another scripture that says, "For they that are Israel are not all Israel." There's a scripture, I'm going to bring that out too. That might be the last one. So it says in Romans, the 9th chapter, verse 6, "Not as though the word of Yahweh have taken none effect, for they are not all Israel which are of Israel." Exactly. And that really shows you right there, this truth ain't given to every Israelite. So even amongst the Most High's favorite people, he has it to where only the 1/3 is gonna pretty much come to the understanding, And like I said, every brother comes into this thing differently, so not everyone comes into it the same. That's because it's like a level of order, So there's apostles, and then you got elders under the apostles, and then you have, the brotherhood, the rest of the brothers come in their lots, like elder brothers and brothers going on down. And then some people, for them to believe in this thing, the Most High set it up to where they're going to have to see the spiritual powers, either seeing, the spiritual powers of healing, casting away evil spirits and things of that nature. Some brothers may have to just see that to believe it in this truth, But in a way, like, this truth is like, it's already a spiritual power. They already know that you're an Israelite without even having to go through any physical records or any, archaeological evidence, you know, without going through any artifacts. Esau has all those things hidden, and these other heathen nations as well. They got all our histories hidden, and pretty much think it was in Psalms chapter 83, if I'm correct, um, on that specific book. I mean, it's on that specific chapter, if I'm correct. It's mentioned that, they took crafty counsel, and they cut off, all these nations cut us off from being a nation of people, you know. And over time, little by little, our people are waking up to knowing who they really are, you know. But like, even though you were 2/3, if they come across this thing, they're not gonna take hearken. Or even if some of them came into this thing, they went back into the world because it didn't really fully mean anything to them. So we don't know who really is the chosen, but we might have feelings in the way of who could be the chosen, and sometimes those feelings might end up being wrong at the end of the day. That's why we gotta work out our own salvation. You know, you just gotta make sure your calling is sure. I'm sure there's a scripture that's that said that. That make sure your calling election is sure. And another one of the enchantments I also wanted to mention is not really only the mainstream media, like the mass media influences that Esau has on this world. It's also the well, I mean, that plays a part into it, but it's another thing too. Like, it's pretty much like the way this devil goes about advertising, you know, with his new world order agenda, like the way he does it too. He doesn't only put it in films and cartoon stuff. He also put it on, like, pretty much on social media, like maybe advertising, like how they did it with the C-19 shots, with getting those jabs. They pretty much was mentioning that you get freebies, and I did a whole video about that, like saying that, that this devil, Esau's pretty much giving away prizes, gifts, and, all type of perks and benefits for the V. And I can't really spell the whole name out because he took down one of my videos for saying that, the V campaign going door to door, like, Esau's. So sometimes you can't even put Esau's name when you put in his agenda. You gotta put E, you know. And then if you want to put like the letter, you gotta put the letter V and put the emoji at least. So you gotta be careful on certain things that you word because the algorithm picks up on that shit, you know. And then yeah, and the way they went about advertising this whole C-19 shots, it's really ridiculous. How the fuck all of a sudden they start giving benefits and perks and prizes like none other before? Because all those other shots for H1N1, for the flu shots, how come they never did no benefits with that? You know, how come they never did no lottery ticket entries, no freebies or prize giveaways or things of that nature when it's coming to those? That's how you know something fishy about this. Something's really sus about this whole C-19 agenda with those shots. And that's the type of enchantment that 2/3 are gonna fall under. They're gonna be the ones to get tricked to get in that trip and following after Esau's false miracles. You know, those are just false miracles in the end of the day. People gonna really see that And it's gonna come to a point in time where, I mean, it's already happening on a small scale, but you're gonna see it being on advertisements very soon. But don't be surprised if you see it. People making documentaries about these things, and they're already doing this on a small scale. So you best believe as technology keeps advancing, they're gonna do it way more and more. And then Esau gonna come to the point where you're gonna have to take that chip, because what he's doing right now. He's just building a certain amount of people to pretty much get them jabbed up. He's building a certain percentage of people for that, and then he's gonna enforce it upon the world after he gets like a certain amount of people in America. He's gonna make it mandatory there, and then you know as well he's gonna try it in other countries as well. And then you have it to where when it's coming to Esau's technology, you know he's obviously trying to play God on the left hand side. So what he's doing is like he's gonna use his technology for evil purposes. Like he's gonna use it to pretty much deceive the world, making people think that getting a brain chip or getting certain technologies that where you could put nanotechnology inside your body can make you, which is called like transhumanism. They're gonna try to um act like you could do way more than before, like learning many languages, you know, doing activities like your favorite sports players, your favorite, singing like your favorite celebrities or so. Like, they're gonna have a way where they're gonna try to influence the world to, take, you know, that chip. And they're gonna have it to where people are gonna really be deceived by this devil, having a you're gonna see the false miracles to where people are gonna start walking out of nowhere. People that were paraplegic, people that are have like um disability, like where they can't really move certain limbs, they're able to move it. You're gonna see the false miracles very soon. People that couldn't see, they're gonna start being able to see, and people that couldn't talk, they're gonna be able to talk all of a sudden. But then a lot of people don't really understand when it's coming to the devil Esau, his miracles are corruptible, so it's pretty much gonna have a downside and a bad effect to it, because let's just say it could put a um what you call it, like a decrease on your lifespan, on your longevity, and Esau could have it to where your body's gonna start feeling all type of ailments, and you know because that's how the devil is. He's when it's coming to you trusting after his BS, you pretty much get bitten by the serpent, you know and Esau is not to be trusted. The scripture says to never trust your enemy. But anyway, like I mentioned, just because I'm about to cut this video right now, you know, the 2/3 are pretty much meant to, pretty much follow after Esau's, you know, after his enchantment. They're gonna go get tricked by that, but the 1/3 is not ultimately. So, and that's just how the Most High set up the story any damn way. So, with that, I hope I made the lesson edifying. I'd like to give all glory, praises, honor to Adonai Yahweh, Bashem, Shalom, Malak, Yahshua, Bashem, Fakadash. Double honor to the apostles and the elders, great millstone, peace and teaching on for elect. Yahweh, Bashem, Yahshua, Bakasha, Shalak, Rayam, Arawam, Yam, Wa, Goayam, Wa, Ababa, Shalom.